One of the most common used subjects is you. And within Spanish, there are two real ways that we can translate you, not including vos, which is used mainly in countries like Argentina. Usually, especially when you're dealing in terms of school Spanish, the two ways that you'll be taught is tú versus usted. And it's important to know the difference between these two because these are used in pretty much every single country on earth, and there's very specific situations in which we have to use these two. So, let's talk about the difference. Now, as I mentioned, these both translate as you. And please try not to get confused. A lot of times when you hear like the form él, ella, usted, you think he, she, it. Usted does not mean it. It means you. And so when we're talking about tú versus usted, it's very important to know that they both mean you, but kind of in different senses and in senses that entail different things. So commonly you'll hear that tú is informal and usted is formal. Well, what do these both mean? Basically, what this means is I would say that tú is much more casual, and it's usually when you're referring to people that I would say are on the same level as you. So when we're talking about friends, when we're talking about your peers, when we're talking about even like your family members, pretty much tú is always going to be used if you're referring to people on the same level as yourself. And usted, on the other hand, is going to be referred to, or is going to be used when you're trying to entail a sense of respect because there's someone that you consider to be either higher up than you or you're not as familiar with this person. So you want to command respect with them. And so in these cases, this would be like you're addressing a boss, a teacher, anyone that's considered just above you in the situation, like an administrator, a principal, even like a stranger. It's good to use that because it commands respect. Elders, there's a lot of different situations in which you could use usted. But overall, you can think either tú is informal or familiar, and usted is formal or non-familiar. And so that's the main kind of difference between these two. And so now I want to kind of do some practice real quick. And I want you to kind of decide whether we're going to be using tú or usted in this situation. So I've written down 8 different situations right here. And I want you to decide for each one whether tú is appropriate to use or usted. Remember, tú is going to be way more formal. And when people are kind of on the same level as you, usted is going to be when there's somebody that you want to command respect to or is in a sense of higher power than you. And so in order to demonstrate that respect, when you call them you refer to them as usted. So first, we're going to talk about your boss. Will this be a tú or usted situation? This one will be usted, and the reason why is because typically your boss is going to be, in a position of prominence over you, and you want to be very respectful. Now, some people are very close with their bosses, and they refer to their bosses as just tú, just because they like to be kind of on the same level, and the boss enjoys it more if they refer to them as tú. But overall, I would say that usually when you're talking in a situation with your boss, refer to them as usted. Customer service. So essentially, if you're in a job that involves customer service, like waiting tables, or like taking orders, or even like talking on the phone with someone, anything that has to do with serving customers, would you refer to the customer as tú or usted? In this case, this is also going to be usted. And you may have thought tú for the reason that, oh, well, I'm the person doing the work and the customer's below me. But no, you're supposed to always have a sense of respect in customer service. And so usted would probably be the right one to use in this situation. Now, your best friend, I would say here, this would be tú. And the reason why is because you think of yourself as very familiar with that person, kind of on the same level. It's very informal, right? So that's going to be tú. Now, a stranger is going to be usted. When I lived in Colombia, I always tried to greet people that I didn't know with usted. Mainly because, a part of the reason why was because I was a foreigner and I wanted to be respectful to them. But also, it's just because I didn't know them. And so I wanted to show them kind of a token of my respect. And by doing that, I would refer to them as usted. Now, your dad, I would say tú here. You could maybe go with both, but I would probably say tú because it's very familiar. It's very like informal with this. You know this person very well. Kind of put yourself on the same level as them in the family, even if your dad is older than you. I would refer to my dad as tú. Classmate, I'd say definitely tú right here, and the reason why is because they're on the same level as you. They're your peer. There's no real reason to command respect, especially if you know them very well. And so, since it's very informal, on the same level, we're going to be using tú here. Now, your teacher, I would say definitely usted here because they are technically kind of the dominating force. They command respect within a classroom. Because of that, you want to use usted. Finally, elders or elderly people, also definitely going to be usted because, they're older, they're wiser. If you ever heard the phrase respect your elders, this is a great way to do it. Refer to them as usted. Now, I want to be very clear right now. There is no real right or wrong on tú versus usted. It really is what you decide. However, usually I would say that in these situations, the ones that I said are tú, you're going to use tú, and the ones that I said are usted, you're going to use usted. And it all just depends on whether you're familiar with the person, whether there's this like on the same level, or whether you're trying to entail a sense of respect. And so, as I said, really it's very subjective in tú versus usted, but in general, usted commands more respect. And so you use it to really respect people. But you can use, if you're learning Spanish on your own, you can use whichever one you want. I just suggest that if you want to really demonstrate respect to people, refer to them as usted. And overall, especially if you're taking Spanish class, you would definitely have to refer to any situation with your teacher, or if you're talking about like someone's boss, definitely have to use it as usted, right? And so overall, as I said, these can be subjective, but just know that tú is much more informal, usted much more formal, commands more respect. And that's pretty much all there is to do with tú versus usted. And yeah, thank you for watching.